It can carry you to greatness, and it can bury you alive under a heap of shame.
Exactly. That's actually how Shameless got his name. Yeah.
That's right. He's become immune. It's his tournament to win right now, isn't it? The blue Protoss fighting for Team Basil. Wait, the red Protoss in the little ferry. It's Shameless. He is red this time.
And spawning in the bottom right hand corner, we have the Canadian Protoss player. We have the blue Protoss representing Basilisk. It is a Trigger. And if you're in the chat, predictions are open. Place your bets on who you think will be our first finalists here, as we have our PvP facing off. We have our top two, and oh boy, I don't know if you realize, but I alluded to it earlier. In our top four, pure Protoss. It has become the Sparkling Protoss Cup once again. Hope you're ready.
They do sparkle, don't they?
They do.
Out of all the StarCraft races, they do sparkle the most. I think you're calling this on yourself, like you've cast this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's the reasoning why we named it the way that we did the event. We were getting ready for the Protoss domination.
Very enlightened of you.
It was foretold in the Art of War, actually. It was.
Oh, yeah. Right. I'm not that deep in necessarily. I'm a slow reader.
I see. Yeah. It's all good. Next Home Story Cup, you'll be able to catch up.
I'll be able to. Yeah, I'll have another train ride of a couple of hours. I'll be there. I've read most of a couple of pages.
Okay. As we're settling in for the first time here to El Dorado, one of the more unorthodox maps in the map pool, but because of the ramp coming into the natural, this leading to more economic openers. So Gate, Cyber into Expand from Trigger. We should be seeing something similar here out of Shameless as well. Oh, as he is actually going for his tech first.
Ooh. The Stargates. Okay. That probe of Trigger was being rather frustrating. Going for the Zealots even first. I wonder.
Yeah, he was forced
It's a mixed message, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. It was forced into the Zealot first because of the attempted pylon block, so damage was done by that probe. Nicely done. Now we see Shameless finally expanding, but he will have the opportunity here to be a little bit more aggressive here. Bearing in mind, Trigger's Nexus is slightly earlier, so he will have a slight probe advantage, but Shameless will have the Oracle to harass.
Might be able to get in there if the shield battery isn't completed just yet, but already, there it is. Coming up, safe and sound. Natural base still 8 targets, but that is a full wall-off.
Yeah, we have a full wall-off here for Trigger. There's no way to shade into the bases whatsoever, and likewise, that means it's going to be more secure here across the map. Hallucination also gets eyes and confirms the Oracle first.
It's another fun thing about this map, isn't it? Allowing for these sorts of strategies where you're just like, okay, we'll just wall off here and we buy ourselves some time. We can just mine out the golden mineral patches and open up another way that way.
Exactly.
I like it. It allows some more strategy.
Yeah, exactly. We don't often have these mineral walls here in the natural. We've seen them every now and then in years past, but it's been a long time since we've seen that happen. Meanwhile, the Oracle does dive in, going for the stasis into the main base, but Trigger, he does pull away.
Yeah, gets it on time this round. Only 2 probes, that is acceptable.
Yeah, just 2 probes getting called out. Behind this, both players throwing out their Twilight Councils, working towards Blink Stalker, so both players headed in a similar direction. But Shameless does invest into a second Oracle, and that means he can one-shot probes.
A little bit in between the Stalkers right now, but they'll squeeze on out of there. Trigger making it very difficult for those probes to be harassed. And Shameless might just have to accept that. He's going to have to find another way to catch up on probes here.
Yeah,
he's doing all right. 39 to 42 right now. It's not as bad as I imagined it would be with the difference of timing of Nexus there, you know?
Yeah, it is behind, but not by too much, right? Not by too much, so, you know, it's still, you know, within the margin of error here, as he still has these oracles that can threaten the bases, but maybe I speak too soon. Oh, that is going to be quite a bit of hull damage to that first oracle, taking a lot of hits, and behind this, both players are expanding, but we are expanding away from each other.
A curious way to... Trigger will have some interesting avenues of attack here available for him. Shameless, I mean, his expansions are going to be a bit more safeguarded, but may still have to run around a bit more because of that, right?
Yeah, exactly. So a bit of a safer setup by Shameless, a little bit more assertive by Trigger. Meanwhile, Shameless, once again, he threatens the mineral line, does force some lost mine time in the natural. Not too bad. The oracles are still alive. They still can threaten. But for the most part, we're calming things down. And we might actually settle into a longer game state. Like, I don't know what it is about today, Kozan, but I feel like we've had a lot of all-ins. Like, I don't think we've actually had, like, proper... like back and forth macro, like 3-4 base saturation. I think the closest we got was that game on Frostline where we had like ultras, like right like ultras against the bio army, but even then it was still like very low eco, like really still quite like scrappy.
Super scrappy. The late game units were there was just no economy to support them. It was just a couple of units here and there. But those are great games. That was a truly banger of a game.
Yeah.
And this one right here, I mean, it's starting to look like it could have some potential in that ballpark. A lot of gateways being constructed, and Trigger actually mining out the mineral patches in the middle as well. He started mining out the gold patches. He's just trying to create a lot of avenues.
Exactly, he's opening up the map, meanwhile chasing down Shameless. Shameless is going to be the first to take a fourth base, expanding here in the center of the map. Likewise, stasis traps are set up all around as well, hoping to try to catch Trigger off guard. Oh my god.
Ooh, eagle eye Trigger. He spots those.
Yeah, it does what it does. A Trigger does bait out there. Stasis traps, force fields the location, does go for the fourth.
Oh, this could be bad. What? Did he? Oh, he must have seen that. There's no way he didn't. That was way too good if he didn't.
It's possible. Stasis Trap still is there. Could still catch him off guard. For now, laying siege up on the expansion itself. Oh.
No, he knows. He must know. There's no way he doesn't know.
I mean, still better trades. Better trades for Trigger. He does take down more Stalkers as well. The base took a lot of hits, and Trigger is forcing his way in.
Dwindling a little bit here with those zealots coming forwards, tanking a lot of damage, and there is the stasis. Only 2 stalkers. Does finally get to Trigger. The Trigger, he still has so many units. 20 stalkers to 12 at the moment. He might start to snowball. Shameless starting to move those oracles back. He realizes he needs more firepower at home right now.
Yeah, Shameless, he's barely trying to hold on the Oracles.
Oh, no.
They run past through the army, and the Oracles go down. Massive pickups. The base fell as well, and Trigger, he does have momentum on his side. He's pushing through.
9 to 12 stalkers. Reinforcing here for Trigger has become a bit more difficult, but he's bringing in an Immortal along as well. So there's definitely still an army advantage here for Trigger if he decides to start pushing across again.
Yeah, exactly. He has that tech advantage. +3 has begun, so he has a slight upgrade advantage as well. And behind all of this, he's got the gold.
That's a lot of money. That is a lot of money. Will have himself the charge upgrade as well. That's most likely the place where a lot of that golden minerals is going to be invested into. He sees the 4th base of Shameless also. This is just a very hard place to push into for either of these players, right? If he crosses this mineral field, it becomes such a hassle to get back into this incredibly defensive position. Like, this is one of the most defensible positions you could wish for in StarCraft 2, isn't it?
It really is. It really is. It's so difficult. But finally, Trigger, what does he have? He just chronoed out his War Prism. The Prism has arrived, and now he can reinforce. Now he can reinforce on the front lines. Now he can commit. This is what he's been waiting for. Shameless is trying to keep up, but again, he is actually missing the army rotation.
Almost makes me wonder if there was an opportunity there for Shameless to meet him on the other side of that mineral field, or try to keep more tabs on him. Anyway, he does try to move to that location, gets blindsided by the army of Trigger. That snaps up a Nexus. The Archon Zealot army of Shameless now giving chase. Should do reasonably well against the Stalker Ball.
Yeah.
It's do quite well here. Another attack of Trigger entering the natural.
Yeah, these are efficient trades for Shameless, but he lost a third. He lost the expansion. He lost part of the mineral line, which takes us back to that mineral that you spoke of. And how can Shameless break through this? Oh, I mean, he is.
Oh, yeah, there's just not enough units now to stop the flood from happening. And those Zealots, they are eager to give chase here. It looks like whatever counterattacks Trigger is sending across the map is being dealt with by Shameless as well. Meanwhile, it's only 2 Zealots at the moment.
Yeah, I mean,
and, well, the probes, oi, 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 oi.
Yeah, the probes are going down. Shameless is quite committed here. Again, he's down in the bases. He's down in the economy. He does fight well. 16 probes going down. The problem, though, is that Trigger is still up in workers, and he still has the gold. The gold makes up for those dead workers.
It really does, yeah. I mean, he's still 68 versus 49 probes right now. After losing 16 of them, DT's here, no detection. That's gonna be it. GG is called. Trigger takes this game.
Whew, GG, well played, Trigger. He takes a lead in the series. Again, a much more different approach here. Bit of a slower early game, but then we saw an explosive mid game as well. Trigger multiple times able to outposition Shameless, whether it was Trigger sneaking up on the 4th and also sneaking up on the top side, sorry, at the 3rd base as well. Multiple times was able to just catch Shameless a little bit out of position.
Yeah. I like how he did that. He got himself the positional advantage, get the base, move back. And it forces Shameless to act, doesn't it? Yeah, Trigger just in that super defensive position right there. Couldn't quite hold the mineral line, but, you know, the Nexus with all the probes was more than enough. Ooh. Ooh, I see a new game.
Here we go. We have our game number 2 here. We're going to be loading into a bit of a more standard map this time. We're going to be loading into ley lines. Here we go. And we'll see if Shameless can bounce back again. The pressure's on. The pressure's on Shameless. These are best of 3s, not best of 5s. So Trigger, he needs one more game to advance on to the grand finals. And
bottom left side. There it is. I thought you were giving me a moment there. I thought so. Yeah, okay, I'm ready to do it. It's the Blue Protoss fighting for Team Basilisk. It is Trigger.
And spawning in the top right-hand corner, we have the red Protoss player representing Team Little Fairy. It is Shameless. Go. And this time we're not loading into a map that has a ramp coming into the natural, so we shouldn't see these early game like defensive wall-offs and faster expansions. We should be seeing something a little bit different here on ley lines. So we are going to be settling in. Hopefully everything is okay. Oh.
There we are. Yeah, no, with the expansions from the low ground, sometimes I see a player like MaxPack still do it, but I just don't know how he gets away with it, you know? He manages somehow.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, we have noticed that at least in the most recent patch, like for the past like month, maybe 2 months, a lot of the Korean Protosses, they've been following suit, specifically like Hero, Trap, Classic. Like they've been more prone, more willing to go for those max packs openers, right, with the faster expansions. But it's still considered to be safer to just go for a 2-gate opener like this. Just 2-gate opener, just calm things down, go for a later expansion where we're not all max packs.
Yeah. It's the right choice to make for anyone who's not. We'll have to... Yeah, we're getting both a Stalker and a Sentry. So as defensive as it gets for the earlier parts of this game right now. Both of them eyeing up the expansions. It looks like Shameless is still piling a bit more gas at the moment.
Sorry.
There we go. No, he's going to go for that second Sentry.
I don't know if you were laughing earlier about the meme that Kuro posted in our Discord. Is that what you were?
Yeah.
I only just now noticed. It's great. It's great.
It's really good. That's why it got me cracked up.
Oh, that's good. Beautiful. I was picking up what you were throwing down. I got it.
They're cousins.
Oh, no. Beautiful.
Both going for the Twilight Cancel here. Probably both going for the Blink. Wait, do people go straight up into Charge Archon actually?
That's crazy. That's
it would be, wouldn't it?
Yeah, going straight into charge sounds like something a little bit more niche. So as you were saying, right, we're expecting Blink. We're expecting Blink from our players. Trigger does throw down a proxy pylon out on the map, but looks like just to be scouting and no real commitment here out of Trigger. Can even use this to try to like warp in adepts across the map to get some counterattacking or some harassing damage.
So here's a funny thing, right? Because normally I do cast the show matches where mirror matchups just don't happen, you know, because it's just not as popular, and the non-mirror matchups just seem more exciting to do as a show match, right? If you pick two players to do battle between each other, may as well pick the most exciting matchup you think is possible. So right now, actually, this is kind of nice. It's a new, fresher vibe to me, you know?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Like, you're not wrong, right? Like, typically, mirror matchups, regardless of which one it is, are considered to be a little bit less exciting than some of the others. They have very different dynamics as well. But personally, I do love me some PvP, like, especially with how chaotic and aggressive they can be. We've already seen a lot of that already today. It's been fun.
People don't like this as much, but the Phoenix versus Phoenix, my goodness, is that a joy to behold for me. That's a ton of fun.
Yeah, that does still happen from time to time, very much so. Not in this game, though, as Trigger, he does rock up across the map, gets eyes on the third base, will chip away at it. Alas, the army does respond in time. Nice force field, takes down the sentries.
So he's gonna get himself a couple of Stalkers as well. He gets one of them. Oh, trading back and forth. Looks like Trigger is getting the upper hand so far, but his Stalkers are lower on the HP and are dropping a bit more quickly now.
Yeah, exactly. Trigger, he's going to be forced back. This was more of a distraction. We had 2 adepts in the natural base. 4 pros went down. Some decent damage. Trigger does take a slight economic lead, but only a slight one, as both players can now establish their third bases.
Yeah, losing 2 extra Stalkers in the engagements there. As well as the 2 adepts, of course. Kind of feels like an all-right ground for either of these players to be at the moment, and we do get a relatively quick charge of Trigger here.
Yeah, charge on the way, so Trigger is taking up towards that mid-game competition, out of full Blink Stalker into Charge, onto Immortals, Archons as well. Likewise, Shameless also headed in the same direction.
It's such a strong composition. I've tried playing a bit of Protoss myself, but that is just what I gravitate to is just the Zealot Archon composition most of the time, right? It's it destroys. It just destroys. It's so easy to operate as well. Like when you compare it to Blink Stalkers, you just always feel like you're terrible. It's like there's so many more things that I need to do, and I'm not doing them well enough.
Yeah, it's fair. I mean, there's a lot of micro potential with these Stalkers. True, but I mean, that's where the Zealot comes into play, right? Because, mate, you can be blinking your heart out, but Charge, they just close the distance anyway. They dive on top of the Stalkers. It's only minerals as well, so a very cheap kind of army, very cheap kind of composition, which can trade very well. And that's also why then the Archons come into play, because they help counter the Zealots, because Zealots, they're prone to clumping, and Archons do an amazing job when it comes to splash damage on those melee units. So that's kind of the composition that both players are kind of forced into.
Works out well. It works out well. While Prism's being thrown in as well. So far... Okay, no, we do have to swallow archives here. No Archon yet for Trigger. But he is moving across the map already. He's eyeing up that 4th base timing here and wants to kind of just feel the waters. Doesn't like what he sees, decides to back up.
Yeah, it does retreat, does pull away, sees there's already a shield battery. The first Archon is morphing in for Shameless, so the first Archon has arrived. We should soon be seeing Archons from Trigger as well, as we are building up from here, getting our 4th bases saturated and getting into the mid game.
Takes a lot of discipline to, you know, actually just go check. It's like, okay, no, never mind, we're backing up out of there.
Very mature. Many other players, ourselves included, would see this and just move in and probably lose everything. And
yep.
GG out there.
Here we go.
Yeah, good decision there.
I know I'm better. I must have more zealots than you. Again, someone who beat me.
God, no. But now we see the roles reversed here. Shameless is pushing out towards that 3rd base, sorry, towards that 4th base. Likewise, side defense is ready. Both armies are looking quite comparable to each other.
Alright, a little poke there, setting off quite a couple of charges on those zealots, but disengage will have more than enough time for the recharge. +2 about to be ready for both these players. It looks like, you know, synchronized upgrading here for both of them.
Yeah, Shameless is going to be going for the dive. The first Immortal is exposed. Oh.
Pretty good shots for the blue Archons. The blue Zealots kind of messing up right there, still struggling up against a lot of Stalker numbers, but just a defensive setup here for blue. Enough Trigger. Just barely gets those Zealots warped in.
Yeah, the Zealots
got it for now.
They will be the Immortals that do so much in the backline here. The big difference, Trigger, he had Immortals, alas, Shameless did not. Zealots are warping in, but alas, Shameless he has lost the bulk of his army. He has to back off. Trigger, he takes a phenomenal fight. Shameless, he had a good moment when he came to sniping that Prism, but again, he lost all of his Stalkers in the process. He lost everything there just for that Prism, and it didn't really matter as we could just warp in defensively anyway, and Trigger holds.
Yeah, just one shot a little bit earlier from those Stalkers, and those Zealots would not have warped in. Maybe a couple of those Stalkers would be able to get the charge for that blink back up and get themselves up to safety again, but didn't quite work out for Shameless in that moment.
Yeah, and with that, Trigger, he does take a supply lead. More importantly, Trigger, he retained every single Immortal. There's now 5 Immortals here for Trigger. He has been able to build them up over time. That is something that Shameless does not have with his army. Shameless, he's just purely Zealot Archon at this point, and Trigger, he's just getting to a more refined composition.
It is a good thing for Shameless here to really dive into those Zealot Archons, I feel like, right? Just mixing in Stalkers at the moment against those Immortals feels like the non-optimal thing to do. Going forward, this is nice. The robotics facility, the support bay, being thrown down. Likely this time around we will be moving to... Actually, Colossi aren't that bad here either, but what do you think?
Yeah, I mean, they're both good options, right? They're both good options, but the problem here is we might not see any because Trigger, he's max. He's at 200 supply. He's pushing right towards the natural as well. Going to be came the production, going to be diving in the army, doing everything.
Your battery's got to be strong here, unfortunately. Shameless all on one side. It's going to be a tough angle to engage into here. Trigger set up appropriately in a choke point with those Archons in the front.
Yeah, again, he just peels off a handful of units. Zelsay busts into the middle line, probes are going down, and he's forcing Shameless's hand.
There we go. Are the Zealot numbers enough? The army supply dropping quite quickly for both players, but Shameless going down a bit quicker. And like you said, those Immortals, they are showing their strength, staying alive, tanking good amounts of hits and dealing out a bunch of damage themselves. GG, well played is called. Shameless has to tap out and Trigger gets another notch on his belt.
GG, well played. Trigger, he will claim the series 2-0 against Shameless. He was able to keep up with Trigger up until that big fight on Trigger's side of the map, but it did go too heavily in favor of Trigger, and from there did snowball out of control. And with that, Trigger, he's the first player to advance on to the grand finals.
A shame. Maybe a little bit longer, and there could have been a moment there for Shameless, right? Get those higher tier units out. Even just one of them could have made a massive difference in that situation. But Trigger just not giving the breathing room, realizing, you know what, no, this is the time to go. I don't want to let you get in a position to create opportunities for yourself. You've lost your army. I know I'm ahead in that sense. We're just gonna come in across and put a nice tidy bow around this series.
Exactly, and with that, Trigger, he's going to be our first finalist here in tonight's tournament, and we are here to determine the second player to make it to those grand finals. We're going to be heading over to the European server, as up next we have Jimmy, the German Protoss player, going up against Sebestes from Czechia.